What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the latest episode of the Green Teamers podcast. As always, it's your boy Ernie, my co-host Marvelous Marvin.
Yeah.
And as always, we're talking about the Celtics this week. I'm gonna stop saying as always, but as always, we're gonna review the past week. This week it was only 2 games, so a short schedule to talk about. But then we'll talk about just some random NBA news, anything that we see, headlines. We can also talk about Russell Westbrook because I actually want to bring that up.
Okay.
Aside from that, we'll also just talk about the upcoming schedule. I believe it's usually 3 to 4 games, so we'll get into that towards the end of the podcast. But let's get started, Marvin. Only 2 games this week. We played the Brooklyn Nets and we played the Charlotte Hornets. Any thoughts? Any first impressions?
The Celtics impressed me more so in the game against Charlotte.
Really?
Yeah. That game against Charlotte, we were in full control the entire way.
You really?
Yeah, we dictated the pace that entire game.
Gotcha.
Even though we had some points where we were down a little bit, we dictated what was going on. The ball was moving. Tatum was still able to showcase himself, be that focal point of the offense, while still having the ball rotate, move around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many lobs Rob Williams ended up catching.
From him?
Yeah, from him, from Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is finally facilitating the ball the way it needs to get facilitated. He found Jason Tatum. He found Rob Williams. He was finding people. The Celtics are scary. The way they're playing is scary.
Absolutely.
We're
looking at the
peaking
Celtics,
a great time.
Yes, absolutely. Peaking. Looking at the Celtics right now, it's a complete 360 flip.
Yeah.
I will say the only thing.
No, 180.
180. Yeah. Sorry.
180.
Shout out my geometry teacher. But I will say the only thing I disagree with you is I don't think we were in full control of that Hornets game.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, you tell me how this sounds. I thought that we were playing down to Charlotte's level. So I think we were ultimately the better team.
Okay.
But I thought throughout the first 3.5 quarters, so maybe until about halfway through the third, we were playing their game. So they were still in it. They were, I think at halftime, we were only, let me take a quick look. Going into halftime, we were only up 7. We were only up 4.
But during that game, were you ever concerned that the Celtics weren't going to be able to
I actually was, and only in the sense that, like I said, I thought we were playing to Charlotte's level, and at one point, we did not hit any threes.
Okay.
Like, just in overall, after the 4 quarters, we only shot 32%. We went 12 for 37.
Right.
So about halfway through the game, maybe, like I said, until halfway through the third, we weren't really hitting threes. So I thought it was going to be one of those games. The game was close enough to where we weren't hitting the threes, and I thought Charlotte might
hit enough to
I thought
it close.
Whoever made that initial final run would ultimately come out the victor.
Right. And when we go back to our predictions, I did predict that Charlotte would be the tougher matchup.
That is true.
I
yeah.
actually expected us to lose against Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
However, watching the game, just going through the motions, I was sitting there like, nah, there's no way we can lose this game. We're playing with too much heat, too much momentum.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the way they're playing on the court. They're playing with a sense of like swagger and confidence. Like, they're like their shit don't stink right now.
Yeah,
and it really doesn't.
I think it was definitely obvious to see that the Celtics were the better team. But again, I just felt like it's kind of like when we play the Pistons. We're clearly the better team, but the Pistons just come with the right energy, and we tend to play down to their level.
So you're sitting there wondering, all right, when are we gonna let up?
Yeah, like I said, with the way we were playing, I felt like we just needed someone to come and take over the game. And look, hey, shout out to Jason Tatum, because at the end of last night, he had 44 points. So I think he was definitely the difference maker. In the fourth quarter, he hit those 2 quick back-to-back threes, and you could tell he was coming. He was coming for the victory, and that's exactly what we did. So shout out Jason Tatum, because he's the man right now. He is our go-to man right now.
He is playing with house money. At this point, nobody expected the Celtics to really make a push this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was on that boat 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was on the boat of still make a move to try to compete in the playoffs. The Celtics did what they did, and the end. What we're seeing now is the result of defense first, focus on the offense later.
Mm-hmm.
Lock down each individual defender. Each individual defender locks down their player. then focus on the offense when it comes, because the offense is always going to come.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say most of the time, if you play good defense, it just transitions into good
That's it.
offense.
That's
Like
it.
especially if you get a steal or a block, and then you get the fast break. Those are quick, easy points.
you're golden. That's it. You don't have to worry too much about it. It's not so much of a mental strain on, all right, get this guy open, get this guy a good look. It just flows easier.
Yeah, definitely.
It flows so much better.
And just bringing up the Nets game, how did you think Tatum fared against Kevin Durant? Now, obviously, I think we both agree that Tatum got the best of Durant that game. But anything that you noticed, anything stand out to you? And let me before you answer that, let me just give you Tatum's stat line. He was 16 for 30, 8 from 15 from threes, 14 for 17 from free throws, 3 assists, 54 points.
I was just about to say, Tatum always shows up for the big games, especially against Brooklyn. I don't think there's been one game where Tatum has had a necessarily terrible game against Brooklyn. He always seems to play well. His last 50-point game came against Brooklyn, right?
I believe so, yeah.
In the playoffs, yeah. Yeah. So
No, I don't think it was that long. I think he had a 50-point game earlier this season.
against them too?
Not against. Oh, you're saying like the last time he had a 50-point game against Brooklyn was
right.
in the playoffs.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he plays well against them. Like he shows up and he performs. My whole thing is even through that 54-point outburst, there were still periods in that game where we were looking at Kyrie, looking at KD like, don't get him that bucket. I hope you don't get that bucket. Even when Kyrie is double teamed, if he still puts up a shot, to me, I'm like, that can still go in. That might go in. Oh,
No, it definitely can because
you still have that fear.
Yeah, definitely. Because looking at the Brooklyn versus Celtics game, Kyrie didn't have the best of games.
Right.
But I believe it was it was literally the game right after. I think it was against Charlotte. He went for 50, was it?
Right, yeah.
So say what you will about Kyrie, but he can literally turn it on and off that
just
quickly.
like that.
Yeah. At any given night, he can be their go-to guy, and he's capable of hitting those 50.
Dude's talented. Now, my question is, that same fear that Durant and Kyrie can instill, do you think Tatum, Brown, do you think they instill any type of fear in other opponents? Or is it more so just, you catch them on a good day, you'll beat them?
I believe that would be the narrative around the NBA and other NBA stars. Is at the moment, yes, Brown and Tatum are all-stars and they're good, and then we have a good supporting cast. But they're not proven. Okay. Because I think if you look at aside from, there are those superstars like James Harden where he's good, but he doesn't have a championship. People like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kyrie, Durant, they all got championship rings. So they're proven. I think they have a reputation that follows them.
Okay, that makes sense. Quick side note. It's crazy. Before the podcast starts, I'm sitting here perfectly fine, nothing, no issues, nothing. The second we start sitting here getting ready to go, I start getting stuffy nose. I start feeling like I gotta sneeze. I don't fucking get it. I might be allergic to weed. I think I might just be. Shit's crazy. But back to the Celtics.
Yeah, bring back to the Celtics just because I wanted to ask you this before the weed takes over and I forget. What are your thoughts on Derek White? Just because on the offensive side, I'll say he hasn't been hitting his shots and he's kind of in a slump right now if I'm being honest. But I feel like he's making all the right plays on defense, and the shots he's taking, they're not bad shots. They're actually open shots most of the time. He's just not hitting them.
I credit that to playing under the Greg Popovich system. He's not going to force shots. He's not going to take shots that aren't there for him. Mm-hmm. He's going to do what's best for the team. Yeah, I credit that to the system he played in previously. He's a great teammate. He doesn't sit there and rely on having to be a focal point. Or, I need to get my shots up. He's looking for if that open pass is there, he'll give you that open pass. And on top of that, you don't have to question his defensive integrity. He'll show up on defense.
So you're saying even though he's kind of struck, like let me give you his line from last night. He played 32 points, went 5 for 11, 1 from 5 from 3, and had 8 points.
Right. So he doesn't have to be the best.
11 points.
He doesn't have to be the best scorer, but if those shots and those opportunities are there, I trust him enough to knock those shots down. I trust him enough, just like I trust Grant Williams enough to hit those corner threes.
Gotcha.
Like those corner threes now, anytime I see him, I'm like, that's money. Oh, that's money. Like there's a confidence he's shooting it with now.
So I'm willing to give Derek White some time because even though he went 5 for 11, is only hitting 1 for 5 from threes, and that seems to be a constant thing at the moment.
He's in rhythm.
He's in rhythm, and he also had, I didn't mention this on purpose, but he had 8 assists last night.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
How many assists did Marcus Smart have?
Marcus Smart had 9.
I thought so. Yeah, he had a good game.
Yeah. So I'm personally willing to give Derek White a little bit more time. Like I said, these shots are all open shots.
And you wanted to trade Marcus Smart. That shit's crazy, man.
At some point, I think he's going to get into rhythm and finally start hitting those shots. And that's when the Celtics are going to get even scarier.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I can't wait for that. Honestly, there'd be no better time for him to start hitting his stride going into the playoffs. Right. So definitely something to watch out for. I see some people giving Derek White some hate and a little bit of flame, but I'm willing to give him a little bit more time.
Celtics Twitter, you can never please the whole fucking.
Yeah, no, for sure. Celtics Twitter is definitely very reactive to like
everything.
In game.
To everything.
Yeah, we lose one game, it's blow up the whole team, and it's literally just one game, and that's why I said that last week. Is we're gonna lose games. Some of them might look bad.
Yep.
But it's all about mentality and it's all about consistency, because last week, what did you mention? It was like 13 out of the last 15 or something like that?
15 out of the last
18?
18.
Gotcha, exactly. So there are 3 losses in there, but they're so spread out that they shouldn't necessarily matter, you know?
In the last, our record since that whole team meeting where they all had whatever the fuck they talked about, we've been 23-6. I might be wrong on that, but it's close to that. So since that time, we've been 21 or 23-6. That would accumulate to the best record in the NBA if the season started when that whole blow up happened. So we're playing the way we should be. We're playing the way we should have left off in the bubble.
Gotcha.
Like that's the squad I wanted to see.
Play the way we are now.
Right. That should have been our squad last year. That should have been our squad when fucking the Lakers won that shit that year in the bubble.
Right.
That should have been the squad we expected to see.
See that shit?
These are the fucking, I don't know where they come from. Like one turned into 50. It's crazy, and it's not even spring yet.
Man.
Yeah, right.
It's that time in Massachusetts, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather that than the winter. I'm done with the winter time.
But moving on to our upcoming games before we open it up to the NBA. We have a game on Friday against the Detroit Pistons. We have a game on Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks, and a game on Wednesday against Golden State. So I would say 2 fairly big games. You know, Luka always comes with the heat.
Luka balls. Luka is that nigga. He's the future of the NBA. He's going to be an MVP in the next 2 or 3 years.
Really? You heard
Absolutely.
that here first. If it doesn't happen, we'll come back for Marvin.
What?
I don't see that happening, to be honest. I agree he's a good player, but I don't see that.
All Dallas needs to do for that to happen is finish as the best team in the West. That's all they have to do. Because Luka already puts up numbers. You just need to show it in your record. If they can show it in their record, hands down, he's going to win the MVP. So if that happens within the next 2 years, I can see that as a possibility.
So would you say that kind of translates to... would you say that translates to Jason Tatum's scenario, in the sense that if the Celtics were, say, the number 1 seed in the NBA right now and had a good record from the start of the season, he might be in contention for first team All-NBA or even the MVP conversation?
He would be in contention, absolutely. Just like Embiid, just like Giannis. You have your main right now. The MVP talk. It's Chris Paul, Giannis, Joel Embiid.
Chris Paul is in there?
Yeah. That's due to the fact that the Phoenix Suns are a number 1 seed.
I would think that would mean Devin Booker.
Oh no, that team doesn't flow the same without Chris Paul.
Hey, I mean, that's got to say something. Chris Paul's like, what, at least 35, 36 now?
Yeah, and right now he has a broken thumb, I believe.
Yeah, I know he's out at the moment.
Right, and Suns are still winning games, but they play.
It's a different look.
It's a different look, and the fact that he came onto that squad last year and they made it to the finals, and they still have a great record this year. He's an MVP. He's definitely an MVP candidate. That's
fair. I think it's one of those things where it might not translate. Like, his name might not be at the top of the stat sheet every night, or
Absolutely.
he doesn't have that reputation as being, top 5 players in the NBA.
Right.
But like you said, if you watch the Phoenix Suns play, he does something for that team. He's the general, the floor general.
He's a maestro with that ball.
But let's get back into these games real quick, Marvin. Like I said, we got the Detroit Pistons tomorrow on Friday.
Dub.
Dallas and
L.
Golden State.
Dub. L dub.
Okay, like I said, I think we're going to beat the Detroit Pistons, but like I said last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, whenever I see them on the schedule, I'm at least giving them the benefit of the doubt. So I think we're going to come out with the win.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be... I don't want to say not as dominant because I think at one point we'll just pull away. But as always, Detroit Pistons will give us their best.
Right.
And that so far this season, it's made for some fun games.
So you think we'll beat?
I think ultimately we'll beat Detroit, but it won't be as dominant as we think.
All right. What about Dallas and Golden State?
Honestly, the way Golden State is right now, they're kind of teetering. They're kind of slowed down just a little bit. I think we might just go 3-0 for the whole thing.
You think so? You think we'll beat Dallas too?
Yeah, the way we're playing right now, I don't see us stopping anytime soon. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I call 3-0.
I call. Okay, 3-0. I'll give you that. I'll call a 2-1 record.
With the
Because
loss against
coming
Dallas.
against Dallas because
Okay.
Luka, the way he plays, he dictates the offense. He dictates the flow of how the game goes. And the Celtics, they've been playing well. And I told you that last game against Charlotte, we dictated the pace. You can double team, triple team that dude Luka. You're not gonna press him. So
Was it? I know Luka hit that game winner once. He hit it twice, right?
he hit the game winner the first game against us, and last game I believe they had more of a dominant game against us the second go
Gotcha.
around.
Okay.
So this game, I'm expecting Luka to really just carry the game and do his thing. Luka Magic, it's a real thing. Dead ass.
Alrighty, so I'm calling 3-0. Marvin, you're calling 2-1.
Yeah.
Check back next week to see how we did. how
And
we
check
compared.
out part 2 of the.
Oh, we ain't done, man. We ain't
Oh
done.
shit! Oh
Let's
shit!
Bring
I
up
thought
Russell
you were closing-
Westbrook.
I thought you were closing the
No,
shit.
I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
God.
I just want to talk about Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
I think he's taking it a little bit too far. I think he's a little what's the word that I don't know what the word is, but like he doesn't necessarily think he's better than he is, but he doesn't take criticism. Like he brushes it off. He doesn't even listen to the critics. Where people are saying he should come off the bench, and he's like, no, I'm a starter.
Oh,
Like ignorant. He's almost ignorant.
yeah. You can say egotistical. Would egotistical work there?
Maybe somewhat, but like I'm saying, he's not taking the constructive criticism well, and he's just brushing it off like that doesn't even matter, almost coming off ignorant.
I would consider him a fool.
Okay.
A
Hey,
fool
I guess that's where we're
because-
going. I guess that's where we're going with it.
A fool because dating back to his own comments, this is the type of dude who doesn't go back and watch film. So if you just assume everything you're doing on the court is right and perfect and there's no need for correction, then you're a fool.
Yeah, no, I
You're-
solely believe if you ask him how the Lakers are doing, he might be like, oh, we're playing bad, but it's not like
Exactly.
just like, no, we're fine, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with how we're playing type
Right.
thing, and just like I said, just brushing it off and
If you
not
watch
taking that criticism.
if you watch his game, the way he plays, his style of play, it's been the same since his rookie year. He has not changed whatsoever. Russell Westbrook is who he is as a player, and that's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing,
it's not a
especially
good
when
thing.
he's not what the team is revolving around. I think that's
Right.
exactly what we're seeing is even in Washington, he was the guy they gave the ball to, and he just
Right.
runs down the court with it.
That's literally saying I'm not going to change. If you can't accept me for who I am, then so be it. Okay, it works for some point, but but to an extent. But at some point, you need to capitulate with what's going on around you. You have to.
Now, am I wild for saying that after this contract is up, he might not even receive another one?
No, he'll receive another contract, but he's not getting a max contract with the team that he's going to be interested in playing. Or Orlando could offer him the bag, because with Orlando, you're trying to attract just a fan base. You're trying to grow something there. They can throw him a bag tomorrow in the offseason, and if he's looking for the money, then he's gonna go there. If he's looking to win a championship, there aren't too many teams that are gonna take him on without a full understanding that, nigga, you're coming off the bench. You're a sixth man. You're not going to start. If he can't understand that, just like Melo understood that, it took a little bit, but he understood that. Then Russell Westbrook's time in the NBA is going to be shortened. Because he can still play. He can still play at a high level. He just needs to understand you're not that nigga anymore.
Gotcha.
And you're not good enough to think that you can't change.
So ultimately, you think there's only two scenarios to play out where he'll get the money, but he'll be playing on a bad team, just literally playing for the huge
Right.
bag.
Or you can play for a contending team like the Celtics, come off the bench, be a
Oh,
microwave.
don't even
fucking
go
play.
there.
I'm just-
Don't even put the Celtics in that.
But
I'm
play,
sure he's a
but
good
play
guy
for
off the court, but I don't want him anywhere near
but play
the
for a
Celtics.
contender. You can play for a contender, be a microwave type of player if you understand you're coming off the bench. You're not starting. Or if you go to New York, because New York, they just need talent. They don't give a fuck. go to the Knicks. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah,
at that
the Knicks is a tough situation. I honestly thought they were going to do a little bit better. I thought Randall was the real deal, like not a max level player, but definitely a contributor.
point. The Knicks would sign a Westbrook and pay him a substantial amount just for the star power. They don't have to make the playoffs. Knicks don't care about making the playoffs.
So you don't think it's even necessarily to make the team better? It's just like you said, attracting more fans, and
Right.
Madison Square Garden
Westbrook on
is
the
known
Knicks.
as like the mecca of basketball.
Exactly. Westbrook on the Knicks gets some more games on TNT.
So, yeah.
It's for you Knicks fans out there.
Shout out the Knicks fans. No, I'm just joking.
Fuck them Knicks fans.
But anything else NBA related you want to talk about, Marvin, before we actually wrap it up this time? Anything else? Anybody in the league surprising you? Oh, how about, I know this is still on the Lakers. How about Anthony Davis? Still injured. Is he really? I honestly don't think he could be a top 10 guy anymore.
I always go on. I like thinking of what if scenarios. And there was a story going out about Kyrie during his time with the Celtics, how he was trying to recruit Anthony Davis to come through and play with us. I think if Anthony Davis was playing on the Celtics, it would be a little different because I don't think there would be so much of a burden to carry on his shoulders. With the Lakers, you have to live with the whole you're in LA, you're playing for the Lakers. There's a lineage, there's a history behind the Celtics background as well, but
that's a little like in the name. It's more of a Showtime thing.
Right,
like it's literally Hollywood basketball.
Exactly. You finish your games and then you're out clubbing at 9:00 at night. Like it's a different life out there.
For sure.
So you're a celebrity. A lot of people can't deal with that and still have to play basketball and still have to deal with what comes after that.
Yeah, which I think is what Russell Westbrook is actually getting a little bit of. Is he's actually getting the Hollywood treatment and noticing that playing in LA, you like you said, you have that microscope on you, and it's a different scenario as far as the criticism you're gonna get.
Whereas if he played in Boston, all you're getting is shit from sports radio. Sports radio will eat you alive if you're playing terrible. But at the same time, you can shut that off and still be viewed as Anthony Davis, the star. So it would have been a different scenario where you don't have that pressure of Hollywood or the pressure of expectations on your back aside from what you're doing on the court.
No, that's all totally fair. But then again, if we're talking about Anthony Davis and Kyrie teaming up here, does Tatum develop as much as he did? Does Brown develop even further like he did? So there are different other scenarios, and like we thought, Gordon Hayward was getting injured just consistently here. So going to Charlotte, you would think it's a fresh start and whatnot, and he's in the exact same scenario. He's not even playing now. He's hurt again.
Right. Gordon Hayward, I actually like Gordon Hayward. I think it's just a bad luck type of situation. Because now we're seeing that it wasn't a Boston thing. He's just constantly hurt.
Yeah, which is kind of strange because before even coming to Boston, he was a fairly healthy guy.
He was always playing. He was like an Iron Man.
Yeah, so I think it started in Boston. We all thought it was a Boston thing, like you said, but now after going to Charlotte, he's still hurt. So unfortunately, it just looks like he's
that's the type,
injury prone now.
Maybe AD might end up being that kind of player too.
There you go.
But that what if scenario in my head, it sounds pretty nice. Kyrie might still be here. We might have a chip. Now, I agree. Tatum and Brown, their development would have been different. They would have been stagnated. Tatum would have been a bitch.
But ultimately, man, I think it worked out the way it should have. It looks like we found our guy. We found our two guys, and we found our supporting cast. Robert Williams is definitely looking like he's creeping up to that, being that third potential star.
Future's looking bright.
Future is looking bright.
Yes, sir.
So with that being said, guys, now we can actually end the podcast. Marvin, anything to end it?
Just be on the lookout for part 2 of the Burning Thoughts.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So catch us next week. Thank you guys for watching the Celtics portion of the Green Teamers podcast. Peace.
Yeah.